going to be breaking down the role and the functions of the liver in the body, and also the flow of blood through the liver, and just some basic anatomy of the liver. So the liver has five main functions: the storage, detoxification, the production, and the breakdown. So really four, but of the production type, uh, it can produce plasma proteins that maintain osmotic conditions within the bloodstream. So things like pressure, things like not letting blood leak into tissues, that type of thing. And then also the production of bile salts. So bile salts are important for the emulsification of fats. In other words, the breakdown of fats, and the liver is responsible for producing that and storing in the and then the bile is stored in the gallbladder, and then the gallbladder will release all that bile into the gastrointestinal, or the duodenum to be specific, when it is needed. So yeah, so storage. What does it store? Well, the liver stores all types of things, from fats to cholesterol to vitamin D, vitamins, but it mainly functions to store glucose in the form of glycogen. So that's for storage. Detoxification. It mainly detoxifies things like drugs, medicine, harmful amino acids. So when protein is broken down, it releases ammonia, right? Ammonia is really toxic in the bloodstream, and what the liver does is that it converts that into um, um, a urea. And what the special thing about urea is that it is dissolvable in the bloodstream, and so it can be filtered out by the kidneys and then excreted through your urine. So that's one very important thing that the liver does. It also filters alcohol from your bloodstream. That's why when you see people that are, have like cirrhosis and other liver problems, it's mainly due to alcohol abuse, which the liver just can't support that. And it also breaks down red blood cells. So the spleen is also involved in breaking down red blood cells, but the liver plays a bigger role in that it will break down red blood cells into mainly, it breaks down the hemoglobin in the red blood cell, and um, the hemoglobin is broken down into iron and globin, which is just like a protein, and also bile, or bilirubin, and bilirubin is used to synthesize bile. So yeah, that's the functions of the liver. Then we'll talk about a little bit about the blood flow to the liver. So blood flows into the liver through two main vessels: the hepatic artery and the portal vein. So I'll circle that for you right over here. So we have the hepatic artery right over here, and what it does is that it delivers oxygen-rich blood from the heart to supply the liver with oxygen. So it delivers oxygenated blood. Next, we have the hepatic portal vein right over here, and what this does is that it carries nutrient-rich blood by oxygen poor blood from the digestive organs like the stomach and intestines into the liver, where all the the nutrients that you absorbed from the food is all going to be processed and filtered out by the liver. Inside the liver, these two types of blood mix and move through tiny blood vessels called sinusoids. So if we look into the liver lobule over here, these are the sinusoids. It's kind of where the arteries and the vein kind of conjoin into one vessel, and that forms a sinusoid. Now there is a special thing about these sinusoids, and that I'll just show you real quick over here. So these sinusoids are fenestrated. They're fenestrated. They have an incomplete basement membrane, and what this allows for is the exchange of bigger molecules. So usually just a normal capillary right over here. It doesn't have any fenestrations, and it has a complete basement membrane, and all it can do is that it can extract carbon dioxide and deliver oxygen to the blood. So uh, usually you have the spleen has a lot of sinusoids, the liver has a lot of sinusoids, and I believe the kidney also has a lot of sinusoids. So that's a really important feature uh, of the liver. It has a lot of sinusoids, which allows for the exchange of nutrients. Um, the liver cells, or hepatocytes, also perform various functions such as detoxification, metabolizing nutrients, and producing essential proteins. These essential proteins are plasma proteins, which come in the form of fibrinogen, You have your albumins, various plasma proteins that, like fibrinogen, for example, it helps clot blood. So whenever you cut yourself, the blood stops with the help of fibrinogen, which clots it and stops the flow of blood. Otherwise, without fibrinogen, you would just continuously be bleeding internally or externally. It would not be good. So, looking more at the liver lobule, we have bile ducts. Basically, the hepatocytes produce bile, which are then secreted into the bile ducts, and all these bile ducts form into the common bile duct, which is which goes into the gallbladder for storage. We also have Kupffer cells within the sinusoids of the liver lobule. What these Kupffer cells do is that they break down red blood cells, and the process by which they do this is called phagocytosis. So what happens is that red or dead red blood cells, usually red blood cells that are around 100 to 120 days old, those are considered blood cells past their prime. They can't deliver enough oxygen. They're just kind of like old people, I guess. Sorry. But yeah, these dead red blood cells are going to be broken down into globin, which will just be synthesized into amino acids, and also heme. Heme will be broken down into bilirubin, which can be used to synthesize bile, and also iron, which can be stored in the bone marrow, specifically the red bone marrow. So coming back to the liver and the blood flow, after the liver is done, detoxifying, breaking down all that stuff with the blood coming from the hepatic portal vein and hepatic artery, all this blood joins into one vein, and this vein is going to be called the hepatic veins, which merge together into the inferior vena cava. The hepatic vein empties into the inferior vena cava, as I said, a large vessel that leads directly back to the heart. From there, the purified, nutrient-rich blood is pumped back out to the rest of the body through the circulatory system, and this process begins again. So yeah, that's the blood flow of the liver. I hope you enjoyed. Thank you.